I got to kick this thing off. Can I kick it off? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ladies and gentlemen, listen.
Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listed Show. We're the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Man Listed Show. Go to the link in our bio. You can buy our products. You can buy our merchandise. You can hit our Cash App up. You can support the show. And just make sure you tell everybody about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listed Show. I'm your host, Mark B. Let's bring the crew in. All right, shout out to C. So, Kamala, we're getting closer and closer to election time. What are we? At the time of this recording, we about what?
3 weeks. Yeah.
3 weeks out. The polls say it's tight. Listen, I don't trust the polls. Just because we got lulled into that when Trump ran against Hillary and we found out that there's certain demographics that will lie, right? So I don't trust the polls. A lot of the polls seem encouraging, but what was standing out was the number of black men who said that they were disgruntled with the Democratic Party or they weren't enthused by Vice President Kamala Harris. This led to, Barack Obama, y'all's boy, Barry. He went out and he scolded black men saying, y'all not just voting for her. I'm paraphrasing. Y'all not voting for her just because she's a woman and it's shameful and yada, yada, yada. A lot of other people, said they didn't appreciate that. But Kamala came out with policy directed towards black men. And a lot of it was based on entrepreneurship. There was some cryptocurrency. There was some beefing up of the loan forgiveness, student loan forgiveness, encouraging black men to become teachers, boosting up that program. And then also I noticed one that stuck out to me was legalizing recreational marijuana. And because she said that she feels like marijuana should be decriminalized in the U.S. So, which is, a good thing for her to do, especially since, the president who she was elected with, we know him as Crime Bill Joe, right? And we know a lot of men were arrested because of marijuana usage and distribution. So what did y'all think? Did you think this was a necessary step by Vice President Kamala Harris? And do you think that it is something that will be profound enough to get those brothers who weren't enthused to go out and vote for her?
One thing about politicians is they sure are good about being vague. Like, who's this definition of entrepreneurs? And really, if anybody has ever tried to start a business, what's $20,000 gonna do? Like, and I don't know, and expand like the student loan forgiveness program in what way? Expand the job classifications, expand the amount of the forgiveness, expand the the time frames for having to work to earn the forgiveness. Like it's so many things where it's like, okay, tell me more. It's like, this sounds interesting, but tell me more. So it's one of those things where it's like they've piqued your interest, but have they really provided you with enough information that you could really hold them to it? And that's one of the things we really talk about on this show is holding these candidates accountable and keeping their feet to the fire for the promises that they made during the campaign. And I feel like the more vague the promise, the harder it is to actually hold them accountable to it. Because it's like, well, if I say I'm going to do this, but I don't really have any details worked out, we're still working on it, then you're like, okay, well, a lot of people in their mind, they might see it going one way, but that might not be at all what that administration has in mind. And then it doesn't materialize and we're back to being disgruntled and a miscommunication because there's no directness. And there's rarely directness with politicians. And I think that's a huge problem. Now, decriminalizing marijuana is really kind of like a no-brainer, I think, at this point. Most of the states have decriminalized marijuana. Most of the states um have authorized at least medical marijuana. And what most people don't realize is that if you get caught with marijuana, 9 times out of 10, the feds aren't picking it up anyway. So they're in this gray area where the feds have better things to do than prosecute these cases. So it's not necessarily legalized, but it's not necessarily still a priority for the feds. So it's more perfunctory than actually like going to be like doing this profound thing that's going to change the scope of how the feds are like attacking cases. So it sounds great, but really it already kind of has happened. Like I haven't heard of the feds picking up a case or pursuing a marijuana case in a very long time. And they have been picking up cases that we aren't accustomed to seeing them picking up, at least around here in St. Louis, a whole lot more. Like cases we're like, what? That's going fed that amount? And so marijuana is not at all on their radar. So that's not even really a concern. But theoretically, yes.
Hi, I'm Marika Moore, and if you want to get all up in my business, you should check out my new book, Unsolicited Marriage Advice, where I provide an analysis of the best marriage advice that I've received over the past 16 years or so. So head on over to Amazon and buy it now.
Before you jump in, Lab, I'm gonna say this. I think that you are right to be skeptical, but I think that the track record that the Biden administration showed in terms of carrying through with their promise to do as much as they can to forgive student loans, and they're keeping the promise of putting a Black woman on the Supreme Court. I think that they've earned a little bit of credit when it comes to that. I do think that these are good issues for them to be targeting, because it's clear that they're not just targeting Black men. They're not targeting like people our age. They're targeting those dudes who are on the internet and who are those red pill dudes. They're targeting like those kind of Black men who may be on, they may be able to be convinced. And the reason why I believe that is because they talked about cryptocurrency. And that's right up all those dudes' alley. The whole, cryptocurrency and how the government is going to regulate crypto and blah, blah, blah. So that's for them. But the other piece about marijuana, and I'm not, I understand everything that you said, but I believe I read that there was a piece where not only were they trying to decriminalize it on the federal level, which would be a good thing, but they're also trying to eliminate some of the barriers of entry for Black people to get into that industry, to sell and to make money off of it, because that was a big piece for a lot of folks when these states opened it up. Some of the states that did it earlier on, they didn't have those barriers of entry, but the ones that learned, we always say it, right? Everything that makes money in this country, that this country thrives on, is built upon us being at the bottom. So when they saw us being able to get in, they was like, no, we're going to fix this. So if that's the case, and with this being, that being a heavy cash laden industry, and folks love to get high, especially on weed. I think it's a good thing. So I get your skepticism, but I think that it's still something that we should acknowledge is a good thing for them to do. Lab, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. I don't know the whole details, but I did read something as well about getting more Black men into the legal dispensaries, I guess, or into the business of that legalized marijuana. But overall, I thought that, I'm not going to say it wasn't necessary, but similar to you, I don't think it was necessarily speaking to me. I think there is a need for the plan, or a need for the what I'm going to do, no matter how vague, because I can't recall a politician, honestly, that said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it this way and this is how it's going to work, because you don't know, because you really don't know who's going to be in office with you at that time. You kind of have to tailor, you have to accept some things, compromise a bit if you don't have House and Senate and all that stuff. So you can't be too specific. I will say that diametrically opposed to her opposition, I can't tell you a single plan that you've ever heard. And so when I hear people say, "Oh, I saw a poll," again, don't trust the polls, but it said that people trust his policies. His policies are better than Kamala's, and I'm like, there's something else at play there. Obviously, that's not truthful. So
You know what the policy is?
it,
The policy is white supremacy.
is that exactly
That's the only policy they need to know is that
yeah
he is going to
That
ensure
that's
that,
favorite.
that
right.
white supremacy is continuing to uphold its tenets. That's
Yeah.
all that's about.
So then when I looked at it and I'm not gonna say it didn't move me, but really it didn't because it really doesn't matter. I don't want to come off sounding insensitive or what have you, but I don't get the need for some people to want to feel like you have to cater to me, you have to come and earn my vote. You have as far as me individually. I view it differently as far as it's for the greater good of everybody. And so you don't necessarily have to come to me and wine and dine me specifically to earn my vote.
I mean, I agree with that. One, the only way the government can ensure access to like being a part of the legal marijuana game is to incentivize because they can't make states do anything. So all they can do is withhold their federal funding from certain people and certain programs. And that's only going to go so far because they only have so many, funds allocated towards things like that because usually those things are like self-generating for states. So I don't really know how far their reach is really going to be able to go without being directly targeted towards, okay, I'll give you some, $5,000 startup money. But the legal barriers, the whole, things that we've had to go through as far as like voting rights and things like that, the things that they just come up with on the whim to stop you from being able to get to these places. I don't know how much impact federal government is going to be able to have over state governments on things like that. So that's still going to be a challenge, but I would be interested to see what kind of ideas they come up with to try to combat that. But I agree with you. I don't feel like I have to be personally wined and dined. And I don't feel like they have to be like, you know what? Let me see what we could do to win her vote. I wish they would stop texting me for sure.
And emailing, yes.
Hey, my mailbox is full, bro.
Yeah,
I blocked so many people.
you in a swing state, like a highly
Man,
swing state. So I know you the commercials.
it's commercials. My mailbox full every day. It's crazy, man.
It's
They think I
nonstop.
still live in Georgia. So I get them from Missouri and Georgia. I haven't voted in Georgia in over a decade. And I'm getting them from both sides. And they literally called me and she like called me. She's like, well, I just need you to do this survey. I was just like, no. And she's like, it's only going to take a minute. I was like, I'm about to waste both our times. And she was like, well, let's just see. I said, okay. She was like, okay, do you still live in Georgia? No. She's like,
Right.
that's all I have. Excellent. Get off my phone.
Yeah, for sure.
You wasted both virtual.
And I feel like, some of the text messages, as soon as you put stop on one, like it says, okay, we're gonna throw you to another phone number.
I think so too.
Like as soon as you hit stop, it's like we're gonna send you over here. And it's like,
I'll-
damn, dog. Like it didn't like the emails be crazy. Like the ones that come from VP Harris to be like, Marvin, I can't lie to you. I need $5. I was like, what is going on, man?
One of the text messages I blocked said, you're one of the top contributors in your district. I said, I ain't gave a single dollar to a single candidate in my whole life. That cannot be true. This cannot be true.
Stroking that ego for that one.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, you just
Come on, big spender. Come on. Yeah. But I'm gonna say this though. Again, I gotta give props to Crime Bill Joe. I gotta give it to him. The one thing that he did that President Obama did not do is Lab spoke about not knowing who you're going to have in office, right? If you're going to have both houses, if you're going to be able to push your agenda through, how much, pushback you're going to get from the other party. But the one thing that I would say that Biden's administration did and has done is that they found ways to go through the different departments to make things happen. So like whatever we could do, to the extent of the law, through the Department of Education, that's what we're going to do. Whatever we're going to do through the Department of Health, they would try to put in different policies, even if they couldn't get it encoded right into the Constitution or whatever, they would say, listen, we could do these things to try to help people. And we know we've seen the benefit of that. So I'll give them props on that. Now I'm hoping that Vice President Harris, when she wins, that she does the same thing. If she does not have both houses, she's not able to get her agenda through. So yeah, but did you see where Trump's a mess, man? Like, number one, he went up there and he wasn't like what's up, boy, Mitch McConnell. Remember, Mitch McConnell just went, just froze on
several
everybody
times. Yeah,
several times. They was like, Trump got up there. They was like, well, you want to listen to the song, He just like, I think it was like for like 20 minutes. He just stood up there listening to music. It was kind of crazy. Did y'all see that?
I saw the one where he was flying the fly, and he was like, "It's a very aggressive fly." I was like,
I saw they talked about it on the nightly, because I guess Kamala had talked about it at her rally today, but I didn't
put a
actually
text
see
message
the
out. It's like, hope he's okay.
Yeah,
like,
but
her administration, they super petty.
Very man,
they not as like ignorant as Trump, but they like real petty with like visas and all that stuff. But go ahead, bro. My bad.
Yeah, no, that's all I was saying. I didn't see it, but I saw how they said she reacted to it. So
yeah. Then the other piece too, he was talking about Supreme Court. He was like, "Yeah, man, because I got 3 of them. Y'all stole one. But I got 3 of them, which he did." And he was like, the thing about them, you got to put them in young. It's stupid to put in somebody who's old. Could they be done in 2 to 3 years? So you got to put them in young because that's how people very rarely are able to get one in because they're young and they live. And the dude was like, 78-year-old man running for president, and you talking about can't put nobody old in. And he could be, normally when somebody snaps at him, he quick to come back, right? That's a very nasty question. You're a very nasty woman. He said, he said shit like that, right? But when dude was like, you talking about putting people young into the Supreme Court, and you a 78-year-old man running for president, how does that make sense?
Right. It doesn't. And I think that's why they have the Harris team has been hitting on that age a lot now, because they know that. I don't know the polling on it, but I would probably venture to say a majority of Americans feel there should be some kind of age limit or age restriction to hold the president, senators, and all that. And I think for most people, 78 probably in their mind will probably be a little too far, because we all have grandparents that are, seriously, that's older than a lot of people's grandparents. And you can see, no shade at them, but you can see cognitive decline by the time they get 78, usually.
What age would you put it at? Would you say what, 70?
I would say retirement age. If you're going to make retirement age 65 for federal, like Social Security and stuff, I would say 65.
Yeah, we make our judges retire at 65, I think, in my county. So
you can't run after 65. So if you get elected and you 64 and a half, you can still run there. But so technically it'd be, that's how I would think it would be, Yeah.
No, they make them leave the bench.
Wow. Okay.
In circuit.
So what happens if it's like, midterm? Do they like
so they can finish out the term, and what they do is they be like on call kind of judges. So we going through the election process. We haven't necessarily filled this seat, but once you reach that age, and we know that you're going to reach that age on the bench, there's already a process in place to say, hey, who's running for this seat? Who's going to sit in this spot, because you cannot.
I saw another poll that somebody talked about that Kamala Harris is trending higher with white women than any other Democratic candidate. How confident are you all in that poll?
I'm confident. I will say I'm confident only because, and I said this early on, and y'all didn't seem to agree. And we'll see. I think that a lot of white women in the workplace have encountered black women, and quite frankly, I think they're in awe of them. They understand how legitimate, how they about their business, and they handle everything accordingly. if there's a problem in the office, a lot of times they are the people that are the ones that are solving it. And I think that's a natural progression of them be able to look at her and say, we've had experience with Black women and they are about it.
You're so optimistic.
Because most Black women I know say the exact opposite.
No, 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 no. They might have a tough time. They might have a tough time, but when the rubber meets the road, they know what happens in their businesses and their places of employment. I'm talking about white women. They know who handles business. They know who makes differences. They know who comes up with solutions.
Right, but they still rule very heavy-handedly by the men that raise them and support their lifestyle and or
But
laying their
that's a lot of it too. It's not as much as them of those women are getting supported by white men. I mean, just in general, just women in general aren't in that position that they have been. And it's next election, it's going to be even less women that are in those positions. So,
I mean, I agree with that. I think the thing about it is, and we talked about this before, is like who is answering these polls? Like, who are these people that 100% of the people poll? Because I haven't answered a single poll. Ain't nobody, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I get the text. I do respond. I respond to them. I respond to the polls. I do. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I've never been asked. I've never been asked anything.
Yeah.
I
get a text at least once a week. Who do you plan on voting for? And I think because I've answered once, like I'll get a follow up. Like, what's the most important topic or most important issue for you this election and all this stuff at least once a week, and I answer them all. Yeah,
but you don't have a NC number.
I don't, but you have to. But when you go and you register, and everything, you still have to put your phone number down, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did they ask you how you felt about Obama questioning your blackness? Or
no. You know, both
talking about we not black.
Kamala Harris, you ain't black.
Right.
We ain't black and we'll do what they want us to do.
That to me, that's a whole nother story. You can't, regardless of the outcome, you can't blame black people for whatever happens. You can't blame black people. The highest rate of black people is gonna vote for Harris than any other. It's not even gonna be close. Even they say the black men, even if you only voted 78, 75, 78%, that's still probably 15% more than any other demographic.
But who we need to tell that to is, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. There ain't no easy way to say it. It's the black women who take issue with black men and will say the reason why she lost, and I'm hoping that she doesn't lose. The reason why she lost is because of black men. We went through that before. Remember? We went through that when he beat Hillary. And they tried to blame black men. And then finally, somebody said, listen, let's just put this into perspective. If every single black man in this country who could voted for Hillary, she still would have lost.
Yeah.
She still would have lost because white women let her down.
Yeah.
White women let the country down. And I think that
yet again. Yeah, no.
I think that that's why so many people are nervous about this, because a lot of people were confident going into that election, and we saw what happened. And I don't think people are wrong to feel that way. Not at all. Not at all, because like I said, I hear what you're saying, Lav. I disagree. I think that, white women, they've shown that they will vote against their own personal interests to maintain the supremacy that, their men and their sons want to uphold. And that's what I believe. I mean, look how it's affected them. Look at, abortion rights, women's rights. Look at the situation that they're in now. So, and I don't know if the Harris administration, maybe because I've tuned everything out. I mean, I know where I'm voting. I'm waiting until next week. Next week, early voting opens up. I'll be right there to get my early vote on here in Texas. But I haven't really seen them drive home. Hey, listen, they've already shown some women who've died because they couldn't have an abortion or the procedures that go along with that because it was medically necessary. One of them was a black woman. And I haven't seen the Democrats really drive that issue home. Have y'all? Or maybe I've tuned everything
A
out.
little bit. They had like that little was it Oprah? They was on somebody's talk show where they had the family of the black woman on there who passed away because she didn't get the treatment that was necessary.
I ain't got no show, girl. It must have been what's old girl?
Yeah, Oprah, Tamron Hall.
Tamron Hall.
I don't
Or,
know.
or,
Now,
or,
Oprah,
or
Oprah
Jennifer
did have
Lewis.
some kind of
Not
special
Jennifer Lewis.
project.
What's her name? Jennifer what?
Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer
No, it
Hudson.
wasn't like
I was
that.
about to say Jennifer Holiday. I was about to mess it all up.
No, it wasn't like a soap opera show or whatever those things show. It was more
Yeah.
like a news political type of show. It wasn't like a
Oh,
I
okay.
will say
either
that
way.
here in, you talked about it earlier, North Carolina, every other day, either Trump or Kamala or Walls or Vance is in North Carolina somewhere. So we get so many TV ads. Usually I'm watching kid shows, sports, or the news.
Mhm.
And when the news is on, I mean, it's campaign ads on all of them. I mean, except for the kid shows, obviously. But I was like, I haven't seen an ad for anything besides a campaign ad or like a TV show in like 2 months. Seriously.
Oh,
And
the news channels in North Carolina and Arizona and Georgia, they getting fat right now.
man, and so it's they do actually have a campaign ad where they play where she talks about that during the debate, talking about this isn't what people want. Nobody wants to get pregnant and have to almost lose their life because they can't get care, or lose their life because they can't get care. So she does have that. And then there's actually quite a few local candidates, whether it's senators or what have you. They're running ads, and a lot of them are white women, talking about the abortion, or health care,
Yeah.
put like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to go back to a point that y'all made in terms of not needing to have your personal issues addressed individually in order to get your vote. Did I state that correctly? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know how y'all be sometimes. But I will say that we have pushed on this show over the years a lot for, hey, listen, we're tired of just having the hostage vote. This particular election season it's really a no-brainer, because
Yeah, that's basically what I'm
you
saying.
can't
Yeah.
you can't put that idiot in office at all.
Exactly.
I'm talking about Trump.
Yeah.
Put that idiot in office at all. Yes, so it's not a hostage vote. Really, it shouldn't even be close. But in the past, we've talked about, like, come on, y'all, like y'all not even going to address our issue, just going to take us for granted. So I do think that we have to recognize that there is no just, hey, like Obama did, wag your finger and say, hey, listen, you better conform and vote like we need you to vote. I appreciate that they have put something out there for part of our community, So maybe I agree or disagree, but I think there's something that shows advancement and what we've been able to do, even if it's somewhat silly. Like a lot of the complaints that some of these black men have about Kamala Harris, I'm like, bro, at this point, like it don't matter. She married to a white man, so was Hillary.
Yeah, exactly.
So she was attorney general, so was Hillary.
So is Michael Jordan. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Wait a minute. Was Hillary attorney general? No, she wasn't attorney general. I misspoke.
For Walmart, the devil.
yeah.
No, but
No,
but hold on. She was Secretary of State. That's what she was.
yeah, Secretary of State.
I'm
No,
glad I caught it because they've been like, they don't even know what they talking about.
yeah, no. But no, I agree with you that it's a start. I will say that this has to continue. This election cycle, that's specifically what I was talking about. I mean, you don't have to convince me, but it's ironic that the one time that you really shouldn't have to convince anyone is the one time that they do trot out something that's specifically aimed at black men. So the next election cycle, where Trump won't be running. We'll see if they take it even further. You know what I mean? So
I think it's kind of convenient. I'm a skeptic. Clearly, I've proven that. But I think that in the face of an opportunity to take a clear stance that would really win them some voters, they took the easy way out. So they're like, you know what? We're not polling that high with black men. Let's go over here and address this issue because this is easy and it's hard to be held accountable for this. Like we said, the House and all that plays a part in it. But really, the issue that really could win them a lot of voters is Gaza. But they're not making any statements about that. They're not really taking a position on that. They're really like playing low key about that, what they're doing right now, what they plan to do in the future. I know so many people that are not voting for them because of that.
That's a
In
third
the
one.
future, you're trying to win over
but
some.
but see,
That's a
I will say this, and maybe I don't.
They ain't gonna touch that.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that's kind of to me, it doesn't. I don't think either one of the candidates is going to do change anything. So
No.
for you saying I'm not going to vote for them, it is a vote for the other. And if that's your number one issue, I can understand if you're of Gazan descent or from Palestinian descent or something like that. But if you're not, I don't. Far be it for me to tell you what your number one issue should be. But I don't think that's not going to be my top 10 issue. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, you saw definitely not mine. I deplore what's happening to those people.
Yeah.
We got issues here that we need to handle for
yeah.
So that's my primary concern.
Yeah.
I did see where Malcolm X reemerged. I hadn't seen him in a minute,
Yeah.
Martin Luther Cream.
I still like Malcolm X. That's my favorite one, man.
What's that boy's real name? Sean King.
Sean King.
Sean King. All of a sudden, he just reappeared. And then he was talking about, I'm not voting for Kamala, Vice President Kamala, because she won't speak out about the genocide in Palestine or whatever. And people have been giving him the blues. And this is my thing. The Democrats, they're not going to touch that. That's something that they're going to have to walk a fine line on, just because, yes, it's awful what is happening in Gaza. Yes, I do think the Israeli government is out of control. The Zionism is out of control. But here in the U.S., they shown, we talked about it, what happened in St. Louis. They are a powerful lobbying party, a powerful demographic, and they got the paper. Saw those ads and stuff, and those mailings and all that stuff. They're not going to touch it.
But she's vice president right now. Joe Biden is president right now, and it's his last term, so he could really do something if he wanted to.
They don't want to do anything about Israel.
I know
they probably and both neither side does. They don't.
I'm gonna tell you, if we're talking about gaining votes, they would lose more votes by taking a strong stance against Israel than they would gain by doing the opposite.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't necessarily disagree, but I feel like, again, coming up with this little bullet point plan for these outlier black men, not the serious black men that are voting on important issues, coming up with this plan to win over outlier black men is like, I mean, what are we talking about?
I'd rather see that. Sounds terrible.
That
speaks to me more than a statement about Gaza.
Me too. I'm 100%. That's why I said maybe that's needed to, again, not to belabor the point, but that's not a top. I mean, that's not on my bingo card for things I'm worried about. Honestly, so
I'm worried about it.
I get it. It is tragic, but it's just like Lav said. I mean, at the end of the day, like Lav said, they will lose more speaking out for Palestine, Gaza, than they would just doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and that just can't, yeah.
That goes back to, they don't want our respect, they just want our vote.
That's all of them, though.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a problem. It's a problem.
It's what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. So 3 weeks out, y'all still, how confident are y'all? Because I mean, hey, so when they first pushed Biden out, And they was like, yo, did we talk about it on the show? I know. Did we say, hey, listen, it better be Harris. We better be Kamala Harris. I think we talked.
Yeah, I for one, honestly, I thought they were gonna screw her. I didn't think they were gonna let her
But see,
be the nominee.
they would have really shot themselves in the foot
Mhm.
had they pushed her out. Had they pushed her out and tried to bring somebody else in, because see, here's the thing. However you feel about her blackness, she's an AKA that graduated from Howard.
The Mecca.
And there are tons of Black women who identify with her. Now, that's a demographic that they cannot afford to lose at all. So,
Also,
had they pushed her out and brought some white man in, because there's no white woman on the bench that I think could mess with her at all. Had they pushed her out to bring some white man in, they could have just gave it to Trump right then and there. So it was good that they did this, and people were like, nah. I remember when they said Biden stepping down, Kamala stepping in. There was a lot of people on my timeline said Trump's going to be the next president. This country is sexist. This country is racist. They would not put a woman in office. They would not put a Black woman in office. And I finally had to tell the people on my timeline, say, listen, I believe, words have power. So notice that I've said when she wins, this is what I want to see. I'm going for her. And thankfully, a lot of people stop with the negativity and may still believe it. I'm still skeptical of, white women, but I think that we got to be positive. We got to do what we can, so.
Yeah.
I think that they didn't have enough time to build momentum behind any other candidate, and they knew that. And they, like you said, they would have lost so much, so much support by not going with Kamala and then trying to push somebody else without enough time to gain momentum behind them. There really was no other choice.
That's true. But I always say, I got this from Tom Joyner. I remember Tom Joyner, the fly jock. He used to say all the time, follow the money. Follow the money. And if you follow the money, I think they proved that, listen, that money that they have raised for Biden, legally, nobody else could touch it but her. So she really had to be the candidate, because they would have had to give up all that money. So that's what we have. And I think it was a good decision. I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, I do too.
Decision.
Yeah.
Definitely a good
The
decision.
fact that we questioned that they would make the best decision is the issue, but
we know
right.
we know the Dems and we know their track record, so
Yeah,
making good decisions. So, but anyway, man, I think we talked about it enough. Make sure you go to our Facebook, Instagram, and X at manlistenshow. Click the link in our bio on Instagram. You can get some of our merchandise. You can get our books. Arika got like 3 excellent books on there, so make sure you go and buy those. And we're just gonna keep it back, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.
vote.